who is going to be, that those people that are going to take over game two? Will Dallas, figure out a new rotation against the Clippers, or will the, Clippers use the same 8 people to basically put it to the Dallas Mavericks? So stay tuned, and we'll get those key players to you right as soon as we can here. Welcome to DFS Insights, where the game behind the game comes to life. I am David Geislinger, and alongside me is David Grant Jr., my cousin and co-strategist. The teams up on the block are the Dallas Mavericks at the Los Angeles Clippers.
With your lineup success as our top priority, this is where David and I will deep dive into our top 3 players that we like for this matchup. We're going to break down the strategy behind our picks and share our insights to enhance your lineups. And make sure not to miss out on the finale, where we're going to reveal 2 absolutely free lineups for this tournament.
Nice, yeah, no, welcome back. Weren't feeling you're feeling under the weather, but welcome back. It's good to have you back. Get your insights, give the people here more information. So, with that, who is going to be, that those people that are going to take over game two? Will Dallas, figure out a new rotation against the Clippers, or will the, Clippers use the same 8 people to basically put it to the Dallas Mavericks? So, stay tuned, and we'll get those key players to you right as soon as we can here. So yeah, with that, looking like Dallas. Everybody I think assumed Dallas was going to take that game over from the Clippers, and the Clippers came out swinging without Kawhi Leonard. That is so. Just before we get over here into breaking down game two, just kind of rehash game one here. So if we look back at game one, Dallas 97, Clippers 109. So the top 3 scorers here, fantasy point scorers for Dallas was Luka, Irving, and PJ Washington, where the top 3 for the Clippers were Harding, Zubac, and Paul George. So yeah, I mean, kind of no surprise there. Luka happened to be at a reasonable salary last game. They changed that as we'll discuss here. But moving on over to the optimal lineup here for this matchup, this game one. Looked like Luka at the MVP, Irving at the star, Zubac at pro, Russell Westbrook and Terrence Mann at the utility. So pretty chalky, I believe about 13-way split. This was the 3K to first matchup, so there was only about 2,000 entries. So being that now it is the 10K to first, you're going against 3 times that many players, so 6,600 roughly entries, I should say, not players. So keep that in mind when I show you the next ownership slide here. This kind of shows you the ownership breakdown of game one. Luka at MVP was basically 87% owned. Kyrie Irving at the star, 26. Zubac at the pro was 9.3, and Russell Westbrook and Terrence Mann were about 27% owned in the utility. So fairly, like I said, fairly chalky lineup there. So if you want, use these as a reference, as I'm still going under the impression, I believe David is too, that Kawhi Leonard will be out in this matchup. So,
Yep.
Go ahead. Well, now we can focus. Enough of game one. Obviously every game's its own monster beast. So with that, we can go ahead and start looking at the stats here of game two. So looking like Dallas is also coming in again as the favorite after losing. I don't. Whoever does the favorites thing is off. But I think Dallas does have the better team. But after being beat like that to become the favorites at in LA, whatever. That's clever. But offensive rating, Dallas coming in at 104.3 and 117.2. Now, keeping in mind, this is only a one-game average. So the pace is actually significantly lower. They slowed it down pretty good, 93. And basically, the Clippers are the inverse of that. 117.2 offensive rating, 104 defensive rating with the pace at 93. Notable injuries, as we mentioned, Kawhi Leonard is a game time decision. He is questionable. I'm going, like I mentioned, under the impression that he's not playing simply because I think the Clippers, won game one, so they feel kind of confident. Unless he's 100% healthy, then I think they're going to keep him on the bench to ensure that they have him going into Dallas in Game 3. So with that, I'll send it over to David if you have anything to add. Just general stats here before we get over here to our key players.
Yeah, to be honest, nothing much on this one except that it does appear that the Clippers have the deeper team. I would agree with you though that the Mavericks have the better team. But it's going to be interesting. Should be a good game. So yeah, let's hop on over and dive into these top three plays from each of us.
Yeah, but before we do, jump over there. Just make sure you also hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. It does help out the channel, get put in front of more people. So with that, enough of me yapping here. Let's go get over here to the key players, and you can go ahead and start off with your first key player here.
So this is shouldn't be too obvious, and I again do not like to just go with the most expensive person, but when your name is Luka Doncic and you break all sorts of records and basically you're averaging 70 points 70 fantasy points per game in 8 close games, and around 65 fantasy points over the last 37 games. It's just tough to ignore. This team runs through Luka. He's gonna put up his shots. He he took 26 shots last game, 25 attempts before that, 27 before that, 21 before that. So he's not afraid to shoot the ball. And even though he is up at the 16-5, that's not. He can put up Nikola Jokic numbers, and he's 1,000 less. Jokic tonight was 17.5 at 16.5. While his price has gone up, he still is not. He's still under 17. I think that makes it fully valuable. It's still a valuable play. He's averaging. Go ahead.
I would say he actually went down. He was at 17K last matchup in the 3K tournament.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
So he actually went down. I thought he actually went up. I thought he was 16K.
So did I. That's what I thought. Yeah, I thought he was 16K as well. So, wow, that's pretty surprising.
Yeah.
Especially with Kawhi most likely not playing, but with the usage over the last 5 games of 35%, that's giant. His fantasy points per minute, he averages close to 1.5 fantasy points per minute, and is averaging close to 60 points, fantasy points per game. If they're going to win, which they really need this win, so that way they can go back to Dallas 1-1. It's going to go through him. I'll mainly have him at MVP. Strictly for an ownership thing, I'll be playing him at star as well. I will not be playing him anything below the star. I just don't see that happening. So star, MVP, and star will be my 2 main spots where I'm going to be playing him, and I will have quite a bit of exposure to him. So, what are your thoughts on that? And who do you got here for your first play?
Yeah, no, obviously Luka is going to be up there, and I think for the most part, probably a lot of people thinking the same, that you're going to eat the chalk. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
MVP with him, obviously to make it, set yourself apart, especially with the 6,600 entries there. Putting him down in the star is definitely going to set you apart. Like I mentioned, he was 87% owned in the MVP, but he was only 6% owned in the star. So
Yeah, yeah.
keeping that in mind, yeah, he's a great play. I like I said, he had teammates complaining that they were bored because everything was going through him. So yeah, there's not too much to say about him. Obviously, he'll be in the majority of my lineups. Unless something happens where he either gets in foul trouble, which typically doesn't happen, or he gets injured, which has happened several times, he's probably going to be in the optimal. Uh,
He's the type of guy where if his teammates came out and said that, he's not the type of guy to go, oh, okay, I'm going to go out there and pass more. He's the type of dude who's going to take even more shots and then prove and actually single-handedly win this game. That's his MO competitive side. Remember he came from Europe playing pro at like 16 years old. So, he's been playing with the big boys since 16. Uh, yeah, he's going to go out and get this win single-handedly, one way or the other. It is an option for him to win. So, who do you got here up on the block for your pick?
for my first pick, I'm gonna go his counterpart, actually, Mr. Kyrie Irving. So I do like him in the MVP and the star at 15K. That is actually an increase from the last matchup where he was 14.5. So, oops, that says last 5 games, but these stats are just for the playoff game here. So he played 39 minutes. Usage in game one was 26.1. He did end up with 50.4 fantasy points. He's projected roughly about 39. Excuse me, 39 fantasy points this matchup, which I think I'm gonna be putting him up in the MVP to, like I said, and maybe bump Luka down to get that ownership play. Kyrie has the ability to I want to say this exact same ability to get that high score, but he can easily get there. Like, I mean, he just came off a 50.4 game a few games ago against Charlotte, 54 for Houston, 60, Golden State, 50. So he does have the potential there, as well as, like I mentioned, Clippers. They just gave up 50. They average about 35.4 fantasy points against his position. They gave up 50 to him, 23.7 to Green, 35 to Beal, 47.9 to Beal again, and a 33 to LeVert. So yeah, I can clearly see him being a potential MVP candidate. Which I think if you had him at the MVP and Luka at the star, that would be probably a pretty highly pretty good lineup to place you in that money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's also one of my picks as well. That'd be my second pick would be Kyrie Irving.
Okay.
Those are the clearly two best players on that team by far. Uh, they both they both need to have great games for them to win. They're not a very deep team. I do. Where's it going to go with this? Well, one part of this would be also Kyrie also likes to chuck the ball. He got in the regular season, he got up 18 attempts. He missed one game. He got up 22 attempts in another game and 19 in another game. So I mean, and that was in he got up 19 attempts in 28 minutes. 22 attempts in 32 minutes, and then the 18 and 39. So he's also going to be chucking. Um, if he gets hot, like you mentioned, he can hit Luca like numbers. Um, I just I put him in your lineups. That's where I was going to go with this. So I've noticed in these single games across the board that a lot of people are trying to jam in these top guys like AD and Jokic, and then left with no salary, jamming in these 6'5", 7K players down at the bottom, and it's magically working somehow because usually these dudes they won't play for 5 games and then they'll get 5 minutes and get some like lucky steal, rebound, putback, and all of a sudden that lineup's winning. So At the moment, that strategy has been working. I wouldn't advise to continue forward. Depending on how many lineups you make, I'll be making my typical 10 to 20 lineups. I will make 3 goofy lineups like that just in case, because that's what's been winning. Um, but other than that, like you mentioned, the best I won't. I'll be putting Kyrie everywhere. I'll be having him at MVP. I'll have him at star, and I will have him a little bit at pro. Sorry, no utility, but primarily at the star, then MVP, and then pro. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's my take with Mr. Irving.
All right, yeah. No, so moving over to my second pick. We're gonna go back. I'm gonna go back. I've liked him, but he's kind of burned me in the past, but not as much as the other guy. But I'm gonna go with Mr. Ivak Zubac here coming in. I like him at basically 3 of the positions: star, pro, and the utility spot. 12K. I don't actually like that. He went up from his 10.5 from the previous game. So, and that's because he, kind of caught fire there. So he played 33.5 minutes. His usage was 24.0. His average, but it was only for one game, was the 44.5. He's projected about 32 this matchup. This is great news because if you go back, we've covered the Clippers, quite a bit during the regular season, leading up here to the playoffs, and our biggest gripe about Zubac was his lack of minutes. Low 20s, teens, even some potential like maybe 27, 28 minutes. But, we just said if he can get, those 30 minutes, he's going to be that standout player. And look at that first game playoffs, 33 minutes, and he's up there in the optimal lineup. So I am kind of going on that well. Daniel Gafford, I actually played him in the previous game 1. He did terrible. He looked bad. He just didn't have a good game against Zubac, and I can clearly see that happening again. Even to the fact where Gafford basically got less minutes than
Lively.
Derek Lively coming in. So Gafford had 14 minutes. Lively ended up with 19. So keeping that in mind, and Daniel Gafford at 10K, Zubac's at 12. So I'll be happy to pay that extra 2K if you're thinking about that center position. So that's my second pick. What do you think about Mr. Zubac here?
Nice, yeah. We didn't even really talk much before the pod or throughout the day since I was out of town for most of the day. But I also am gonna go with Zubac. There's just after going up and down, there's just no way around it. With his upside, he is at 12K. He's not at 12.5, 13, 13.5. So he's very playable. His minutes are trending up, as you mentioned. It's playoff time. Rotations do get a little bit tighter. I think the matchup is better for him. That could also lead to why he got a little more time. Because, as you mentioned, a quick thing, Tice, I don't think got any minutes, which I did find kind of surprising because he had kind of been a staple of the Clippers, for a minute. Sorry,
Daniel Tice, coach's decision, didn't play.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy to me. He played like throughout the whole season, even a couple of minutes, and notice it got tightened up. Same. It looks like Lively really got those minutes because
Clippers played eight players.
Yeah, so they're tightening it up, which is surprising, even with Kawhi out. So that will lead me to one other guy. I know I already gave my third guy. Again, I'll be playing Zubac mainly at the pro. He will be chalk there. You'll want to make a difference somewhere else. He is viable at the star to me. You could put him in utility. I think MVP would be advantageous. Um, but another player I really like, if you're going to be stacking those top three with expensive people, Josh Green at 6,500. He got 9 minutes last game after usually getting 13 minutes against Miami, 23 against Detroit, 31 against OKC. This is coming back from his injury. In 9 minutes, he got 15 fantasy points. And, if Dallas is able to get up there and he can get any type of extra minutes, his fantasy point per minute's pretty nice. And at 6,500, that's someone I can trust to get me something on the board so I can stack, those multiplier spots up there. So just another extra player to kind of look out for. You guys are welcome for the fourth free free pick there.
Yeah, with Josh Green, he did get that time, but I'm just looking at it. I mean, in the 9 minutes, like more than half of those points came from a block and 2 steals. And if you just game log troll, going back, it doesn't really look like he's a typical that he averages that. So just keep that in mind.
He usually was starting when Kawhi would be out, so that's like who they would typically go to, and he was injured, so
Kawhi Leonard's on the Clippers.
My bad. I'm thinking of when. Oh, small forward. I'm thinking when Paul George is out. Yeah, that's my bad. Or no, that's still the Clippers. Wow, I went 0 for 2 there, man. Wow.
All right. Well, anyways, going over to the reason why I mentioned that because I'm going here to my third player, which is another 6,500 player. He's ended up in that starting position here over Josh Green. He was dealing with the shoulder injury, so Green came in for him, but now he's back. He ended up with 17.7 minutes. His usage was about 10.5. He only ended up with 7.2, but he's projected about 11.7 this matchup. So he is in the starting lineup. So a starter at 6.5, K salary is great. Mind you, last game was basically his first game back from that shoulder injury. He didn't miss too much time with it, but as a starter, at 6.5K, the potential there. He was also in the optimal lineup. I'm pretty sure he was. No, he wasn't. Excuse me. I thought he was. I thought he was in the optimal lineup, but no, I have a feeling he's gonna do better than that 7.2. So keep that in mind. That's just more of a value pick because, like David mentioned, if you're going Kyrie and Luka, well, there's over half your salary gone. So you're going to need these, 6,500, 7K salary players to make it up. And, the best way to earn fantasy points is minutes and usage. So, if you're a starter, you typically get some minutes. So hopefully I would like to see him get a little bit closer to that mid 20 minutes, especially as a starter, which if looking back, basically all of April and March, it looked like he averaged about, mid 20 minutes. So, looking forward to seeing him in this matchup pull that out. So,
nice. Yeah, I like that call a lot. Plus, he's got the playoff experience with Miami. I mean, he was a killer. I mean, he's been on a couple squads. I mean, if he gets hot from behind the arc, he's kind of a Duncan Robinson-esque. 3-point. If he sees 1 or 2 of those go in, I mean, it's he's a 3 and D guy. So like you mentioned, 6,500. Great play. And yeah, otherwise I'd say Lively, but he's at 8K. Trying to find a guy at 6,500 that you mentioned that has the opportunity for those type of minutes. That's going to be hard to pass on for sure.
All right, so with that, there's our key players. Ended up with 7. I mean, we did overlap on a few. We overlapped on a few, but That's fine. That just means that we're probably a little bit, pretty confident. And like you said, we've covered the Clippers quite a bit throughout the season to understand them. So before we get to the lineups, again, remind you. It is free. So go ahead and hit that, like, subscribe, notification bell. It does help out the channel. Just simply clicking that one button helps out the channel quite a bit. So I appreciate any of that. I'd love to hear your comments, your feedback down in the channel. Like to start getting some engagement here on the channel. We love to help. If you have any questions, we can do. We've done quite a bit of research. Love to give you any help that you're looking for. You're having troubles finding yourself. And then also, well, if you're just joining for the free lineups, welcome to DFS Insights. We're about to go ahead and give 2 free lineups. If you're looking at our lineups thinking, what the hell are these guys thinking? Go ahead, hit that rewind button, go back, check out our, key player breakdown here, and you'll clearly understand why we did our lineups the way we did them. So with that, we'll go ahead and get over into it. So here are the lineups. Looking actually pretty similar here. We switched it up at the MVP star. And yeah, basically exactly our key players as we broke it down. So
all right.
Again, keep in mind we are covering, basically doing, almost a video a day here to cover as much playoff basketball as we can. So keep in mind tomorrow's the next video will probably be Game 3 of the Lakers, and then we'll be covering following that will be the UFC Fight Night matchup for the Saturday event, and then we'll get back to another probably Lakers Denver to probably wrap up that series in Game 4, and then that will complete that series, and we can focus more on these 10K to first tournaments, start trying to win everybody some money. So with that, good luck. See you guys up there on the leaderboards. David, anything to say?
Hey, nope. Hey, just good luck to everybody out there, and we will see you a whole lot more during these NBA playoffs. Good luck to everyone out there, and hope to see you at the top.